Monday in the Queen City. Good morning, fam. Come on in. How are you this morning? President's Day. Now, typically, I don't do a show on like holidays like that because the patterns of the audience and their listening habits changed. But today is different. There's a lot going on. Today, I want to talk about, among other things, I would like to talk about the various presidential candidates that have, let's say, a questionable history with the black community, either as mayors, prosecutors, on so many different levels. And what does that mean for your vote in the upcoming 2020 election? What does that mean exactly? Good morning. And I don't know what the hell they're doing with that NBA All-Star game. They changed the rules so every quarter to go to zeros for charity. They make shit so complicated. Why don't they just institute what everybody wants to see? That would be the real highlight of the All-Star game. And that's the 1v1. All right. The 1v1 competition. Chicago 21. First to 21 wins. Hey, guess what? They were in Chicago. It works. Everybody wants to see that. You see your favorite NBA hoopers going head to head, mano a mano. But they won't do that. Good morning to you. I did not watch the All-Star game. I watched bits and pieces of the different competitions. It was cool, you know, if you're into that. It was all right. Aaron Gordon got robbed. Not because of... Part of me feels like he did it out of order. That dunk, when he came from the side and, like, grabbed it with one hand and did, like, he did a windmill and did, like, a 180 at the same damn time. That should have been his last dunk. If you're going to try to dunk over Taco Fall, and you're taking... So if you're going to try to dunk over some like super, like the largest human that plays in the NBA, as Aaron Gordon did, well, then you have to clear him. Like you have to completely clear the dude with room to spare. And then people will say that's an amazing feat because something like that is just how high can you jump? And he didn't do that. But that second to last dunk off the side of the rim, he does like a 180, 360 with one hand. There's not a lot of guys in the NBA that can do that. He did it out of order. Jump higher. Jump higher. Good morning to you. Now, listen, this is a talk show. So if you'd like to interact, you can do so at 513-873-7134. Good morning to you. Man, there's a lot of stuff going on tomorrow. Like tomorrow, you got the NAACP forum. You know, a lot of folks will be over there. Checking that out. Props to Liz Rogers. How many people got a chance to get out to her opening? She did her soft opening over the weekend. I did see she got some local press, and I was glad to see that. And the first article that I read was completely different. It was disrespectful to Liz because the headline read something like, after her failure. And I'm thinking, there's a million ways that you can do. There's a million headlines. But whoever wrote that article just had to put the word failure in there. You see that? I'm so pissed about that shit. And then that ish. And then I read some of the comments, right? I don't know where I was. I'm reading the comments and folks was going, I'm never going to go to her restaurant until she pays back the city. All of these businesses, they got help from the city to start up and then they fold. Nobody says a word. Nobody even remembers it. But with Liz Rogers, you got people out there that want to hold her so-called debt to the city against her to the point where I'm never going to step in the place. I read one comment. People was going in, man. They was going in. They was going in. But shout out to Liz Rogers in the opening of her Wing Champ in Shanville. I hope she's successful. I saw a lot of folks out there on my social media feed. It seemed like it was a good time. That's dope. It's dope. I'm happy for her. Because, you know, people got the politics of Liz Rogers and everything that happened was just so ill. It was so crazy, man. It really brought out the worst of Cincinnati. Was on full display. And still is. And still is. And, I mean, you talk to most of these entrepreneurs until they get successful, they try multiple things. They try multiple things. That's not failure. Don't let somebody else define for you what failure is. That's dope, man. And now the Wing Champ is going to open and be public starting today. It's out at 2343 East Sharon Road, offering a menu of sandwiches, sweet potato muffins, and hickory smoked wings. What? What? That is nice to hear. That is very nice to hear. You damn haters. You damn haters. Why she do this? I went down there and this was this. Her macaroni and cheese ain't like my grandmama's macaroni and cheese. You know, just the most ridiculous things. But maybe that was a long time ago and Cincinnati's got a better mentality. Could be. Now listen, I want to talk about numerous things. I've got clips as well. We got to get straight into this because I'm not sure how long. It's a holiday. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be here this morning, but I'm scheduled to be here till 10 a.m. Yes. I know. I want to talk about Amy Klobuchar. And she had a very interesting moment on The View. She was on The View, and Sunny Hostins, you might know who that is, African-American female. She's been a member of The View for some time now, but I used to see her on these cable networks, and she'd be giving her legal analysis on like all the like hot button cases, all the hot news, right? So Amy Klobuchar, who is polling terribly with African Americans because she don't say shit to us. She don't say anything to us. Right? And she got the nerve to say, well, get to know me. That's what she said. Well, when people get to know me, well, how the hell are we supposed to get to know you? So it's my job to get to know you. So she goes on The View, and Sunny Hostins, who is a prosecutor, starts asking her some real difficult questions about a case that she prosecuted many years ago in which a black teenager got life essentially. But apparently there's a lot of question marks about the case in terms of whether this young brother is even the right person, right, who did the crime. And Sunny Hostins, again, being a prosecutor and, you know, lawyer, I think she said prosecutor, she has the lens to properly look at it, you know, maybe better than some. And she pretty much, I won't say she took her to task, but she really did expose Amy Klobuchar. Now, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Pete Buttigieg, who's got his own racial issues. There's a black man who's a member of the South Bend, Indiana Council, like their city council. He's been making the rounds talking about, well, speaking his truth. Speaking his truth, we must discuss these things. And she took her to task for failing. She asked her a question about, has she ever prosecuted any police officers? And Amy Klobuchar, her response, you need to hear. You need to hear her response if you're going to vote for president. Now, she might even be on your list. It's still worth listening. It's still worth your listening to your time. Very interesting. And these are the folks that want to lead. Like, you know, who are her? She must have a terrible staff. Her staff must hate her because she should be prepared for this question. And to me, she sounds like she was not really prepared. Prepared means answering it. Just answer it. How do you think you're going to get through? You really think in 2020 you're going to get through an entire election cycle running for president? You want the Democrat nomination. Black African Americans, black folks are the base, and you're not going to answer these questions about when you were a former prosecutor. Didn't they do that with Kamala Harris? Yeah. So why wouldn't we do that with Amy Klobuchar? See, now it's coming home, and she was just, in my opinion, well, I don't want to poison it. I want you to tell me what you think if you haven't already seen it. There's a link up on my personal page. You can check it out for yourself. Matter of fact, it's the last link, and you can check that out. Oh, okay, great. A lot of well-wishers to Liz Rogers on my page. That's great. That's great. I hope she becomes the biggest wing champ in all the country. That would be dope. That would be dope. And then people can stop attacking her. You know what I'm saying? The attacks continue, even within the same our company. So our community. So here's a clip. And this particular clip is from the Roland Martin show. And I want you to check this out. You know, it's very interesting. This is Sunny Hostin, Hostin, and she takes her to task, Amy Klobuchar, over numerous very serious issues.
Co-host Sunny Hostin.
Let's check this out.
Regarding her record as a DA. Watch this.
A Washington Post poll from last month had you with less than 0.5% of African-American support. That's lower than even Mayor Pete Buttigieg. He has 2%. And I've said this often on the show, you need African-American support to become the Democratic nominee. Now, your tough on crime approach when you were a county attorney in Minnesota is criticized for disproportionately harming black and brown people. And when I look at that record, you know, you failed to prosecute a single killing by the police during the 8 years you headed prosecutions. And there were more than 24 police-involved killings in that period. That's just one example. How do you defend that record?
Okay, well, let's start. I'll lead out to the support, but I want to start with my work as county attorney. We all know there's systematic racism in this criminal justice system. There's no doubt about that. And I worked really hard when I was there, and I'm proud of the work we did to go after white-collar criminals, to use drug court in a big way. We had a very successful drug court, and we actually found got a 12% decrease in incarceration rates for African Americans. And I also diversified the office, which I think is really, really important. But there is so much more work that we have to do. And that's why when I got to the U.S. Senate, I started working on things like the First Step Act, which we passed, which has decreased the criminal penalties and allowed some nonviolent offenders to get out of prison. I think we have to do that in a bigger way as well. And then as for my support in the African American community, I've always had strong support in my elections at home. And I have a number of key leaders in the African American community from Minnesota that have gone and campaigned for me in places like California and Iowa, and that will continue. So my challenge is to get people to know me. My message of economic opportunity, of investing in our schools, I think that matters. I think that my focus on voting rights, Sonny, I am the leader on the bill to register every kid in this country when they turn 18. I think that is going to matter. I'm the leader on the bill to get rid of gerrymandering, to get rid of voting purges. As my friend Stacey Abrams, Go ahead.
Senator, you know, I think that your record as a prosecutor matters as well. And when you campaigned for the Senate, you cited your prosecution of 16-year-old black teenager Mayan Burrell as an example of having been an aggressive prosecutor. And it gives me no pleasure to say this because, as you know, I was a prosecutor as well. I've reviewed the facts of that case, and it is one of the most flawed investigations and prosecutions that I think I have ever seen. When you look at it, you have your homicide detective on tape offering informants $500 a piece for names. When I looked at it, I also saw that Mr. Burrell's alibi witnesses were not looked at. His surveillance tapes were not looked at. I mean, how do you defend something like that to someone like me, who is the mother of a black boy, a black teenager? This case would be my worst nightmare.
Well, Sonny, I'll start with this. I've been very clear. All of the evidence needs to be immediately reviewed in that case. The past evidence and also any new evidence that has come forward. I've called for that. And I think you and I both share that background. And I have always believed that a job of a prosecutor is to protect the innocent and convict the guilty. But protect the innocent has to be key. So this case involved an 11-year-old African-American girl who was shot doing her homework at her kitchen table. I got to know her family, and I worked with them. But I would say I think any prosecutor who cares about justice, and I've always been on the side of justice, would say all evidence must be reviewed immediately, and that's what I think has to happen here.
Well, you're a U.S.
So thank
Senator.
You for bringing it up.
You're a U.S. Senator now. You're a powerful woman. What do you intend to do to right this wrong?
Well, I've called for the office and the courts to review the evidence. That is what we must do in the justice system. I've also worked extensively with the Innocence Project in my previous job, and we reviewed all the serious cases we had that involved DNA evidence. This one didn't, but we reviewed those cases.
It had no gun, it had no DNA evidence, and it had no fingerprints.
Are we prosecuting
exactly?
Amy Klobuchar
So this is
today?
a case that must be reviewed. Sonny, I think you know that I care so much about justice, and this case must be reviewed.
See, perfect example. I mean,
damn, did you hear that? Now, props to Sonny Hostins. Props for Sonny Hostins. Did you hear what the Joey Behar trying to chime in and soften the blow? Are we prosecuting Amy Klobuchar? No, I wouldn't say prosecuting. It's called interviewing for president. This is the process. Props to Sonny Hostins. She even got some applause, healthy applause there from that View crowd, which I'm not. Is it all black? I'm not sure. Is it majority white? I'm not sure. I got my thoughts. So Amy Klobuchar didn't answer any questions. And why is this so fair? This is, like I said, I don't know who's on Amy Klobuchar's staff, but they're doing a terrible job. So Amy Klobuchar, and I'm not sure exactly which debate it was, she was actually bragging about that case. She brought the case up during an earlier debate in which she was like, hey, I get tough on crime, y'all, and use this case that now more and more information is coming out. And it looks like, there's a lot of questions. It looks like one of those cases that mofos be making movies in Hollywood about. And it's just so obvious, but it's a real life case. It's like one of those cases. And there's questions about whether this young man, this brother even committed a crime. And there's a lot of evidence that pointed to someone else that for whatever reason, they just wouldn't look at. You know how the system is. The system doesn't like to admit when it's wrong, especially not with black folks. Don't like to admit when it's wrong. We ain't wrong. We ain't wrong. We're not wrong. We're going to change some things, but we're not wrong. Nobody's accountable anymore, especially these major institutions like the criminal justice system. Not at all. Sonny Hostins. And I love the way she brought it back up. She said, well, your record is Senate as a prosecutor, Matt. She's like, oh, yes, it does. Amy Klobuchar was so clumsy. I mean, if her point was to not say anything negative about police officers, she didn't even mention that. That was the original question. Like, in all your 8 years, you never prosecuted one police officer? She didn't even touch that. That must be really sensitive right there. She didn't want to talk about that one. And then just the facts of the case, she didn't really want to get into it. She's used to being in a room or in a place where, she's got the credentials to just throw them out on the table and nobody can say anything, right? I was a prosecutor. Well, I was a prosecutor. And looking at the finding of the case, she broke it down so eloquently. Props to Sonny Hostins. But she wants our vote. She can't even explain this because it's no way to explain it.
And Iowa, and that will continue. So my challenge is at home. And I have a number of key leaders in the African-American community.
Oh, she's got key leaders in the African-American community. I mean, every candidate has key leaders in the African-American community. All of them. They always talking about they got key leaders. They got good African-American support from a couple people here or there. What the hell does that mean? Oh, whoa. I see Reverend so-and-so. Oh, boy. She got Reverend so-and-so's support. What the hell does that really mean, though? Nothing. I don't think it means a damn thing. Tell us more, Amy.
To go after white-collar criminals, to use drug court in a big way. We had a very successful drug court, and we actually
a very successful drug court. But why haven't you prosecuted any police officers?
And there were more than 24 police-involved killings in that period. That's just one example. How do you defend that record?
Okay, well, let's start. I'll lead out to the support, but I want to start with my work as county attorney.
She didn't want to talk about how she doesn't prosecute police officers. Amy, was she on your list? Maybe she was. Maybe she was on your list. Maybe she still's on your list. I don't know. Maybe she is. So that's Amy Klobuchar, just ill-prepared. That just goes to show you, because everybody's been focusing on these other candidates, and she's been sliding by, right? Nobody's asking her no really questions. She sat back when the community came for Kamala Harris. She was just sliding by. And now it's coming to her. And the thing about it is they're going to these primary states now where you're going to have a larger percentage of minority votes. That's why I say you start in Iowa. Why would you ever start in the least diverse state in the union? One of the least diverse states. Doesn't make any sense. And you're the Democrat Party. They should change that immediately.
And it is one of the most flawed investigations and prosecutions that I think I have ever seen.
She said it was a flaw. She came for her professionalism. She said one of the most flawed prosecutions that I have ever seen. That is deep. And, again, Amy had no defense for it. She had no backing. She started talking about how she has black people that canvass for her, and they're going to continue to do that as if it's her decision to bring black people in and she should get some points for that. The hell? Oh, my God. These Negroes don't know. They just don't know. And did you see Pete? I mean, this shout out to Democracy Now! And Amy Goodman. They had a very interesting conversation with a member of the South Bend, Indiana City Council, and he was talking directly about about Pete Buttigieg and his relationship with the black community when he was a mayor. And I thought, you know what? Who would have a better, insight? But before you get to that, more on Amy Klobuchar, because there's a great piece out there in Democracy Now! About Amy Klobuchar. And they actually talk with some people that's actually, in that state to give more insight as to her relationship with the community, and in particular about that case where it looks like, there's a question mark as to whether an innocent teenager got life in prison. Life. Got life in prison with no gun, no fingerprints. What? How was this young man convicted? But let me pick back up here with this clip, and it's going to dovetail off of what we just heard with The View. But check this out.
I've also worked extensively with the Innocence Project in my previous job, and we reviewed all the serious cases we had that involved DNA evidence. This one didn't, but we reviewed those cases.
It had no gun, it had no DNA evidence, and it had no fingerprints.
Are we prosecuting Amy Klobuchar
so this is
today?
A case that must be reviewed.
Sunny Huston of The View questioning Democratic presidential candidate Amy Klobuchar on Tuesday. We go now to Minneapolis, where we're joined by Nikema Levy-Armstrong, civil rights attorney, activist, head of the Racial Justice Network, former president of the Minneapolis chapter of the NAACP. So if you can talk more about the significance of this case. Now, very clearly, Senator Klobuchar brought it up herself to show how, her competence is putting people in jail who killed an 11-year-old child. Explain what you feel is wrong and the significance of this AP investigation.
It's shocking at this point that Amy Klobuchar is still in the race for president of the United States, given the significance of Mayan Burrell's case, the fact that he was merely a child himself at the time that he was brought into the criminal justice system. When he was first interrogated by police, 8 hours, no attorney, his mother in the next room, he asked for his mother 13 times, and he was denied that opportunity to even consult with his mother. He has maintained his innocence from the beginning. And in spite of that information, Amy Klobuchar has exploited this case. She has exploited the tragic death of Tyisha Edwards, the 11-year-old child who was killed in this situation through an accidental shooting outside of her home. And she exploited Mayan Burrell, using his name or using this case repeatedly throughout her career and to bolster her career. As a matter of fact, when she ran for the Senate in 2006, she put forward a commercial that included Tyisha's mother and other victims of crime, demonstrating that she was tough on crime. I do not feel that she has any remorse for what she did to Mayan and the impact upon his family and the community. community, and she is continuing to deflect away questions about her role in the unjust and wrongful conviction of Maayan Burrell.
So you talk about Maayan inside being interrogated as a 16-year-old. He repeatedly asked for his mother. His mother was just outside that room demanding of the police that she be inside with her son, and they told her no. The day before he was indicted and she was visiting him in jail, she was driving home and her car went off the road. She hit a tree. It exploded and she was killed.
Yes, knowing that Maayan did not get to even pay his mother respects at her funeral is something that still shocks me to this day. Just the level of callousness and cruelty.
She did not allow him?
No, Amy Klobuchar did not allow Maayan Burrell to attend his mother's funeral, claiming that he was a threat to public safety. I have seen people who are...
do you need to hear more? I think it's a wrap for her.
Incarcerated in prison be allowed to leave prison and go and pay their last respects to their family members at funerals. But Amy Klobuchar denied a child this opportunity. Again, Maayan Burrell has continued to maintain his innocence. The co-defendants in this case have come forward. In particular, the person who pulled the trigger back several years ago, saying that Maayan Burrell was innocent and taking responsibility for the crime, but his words have fallen upon deaf ears. And so Maayan continues to pay the price, having been locked up for roughly 18 years for a crime that he did not commit.
Now, to be clear, he has been offered plea deals that would get him out now, and he has said, no, I won't plead guilty to a crime I didn't commit?
Absolutely. He is a strong man of faith, and he does not believe that he should have to plead guilty to a crime for which he did not commit. And he said that he's not only doing this for himself, he's also doing this for Taisha.
So you are calling for the NAACP, Black Lives Matter, Twin Cities, are calling for Amy Klobuchar to suspend her presidential campaign. Can you explain why?
Absolutely. I believe that Maayan Burrell's case, coupled with Amy Klobuchar's predatory behavior as a prosecutor, should be disqualifying. We know that with the current president in office, there have been a lot of concerns surrounding his questionable conduct, his ethics, his rhetoric. We are seeing similarities in terms of the way that Amy Klobuchar conducted herself as a prosecutor and the way that she is responding to this case. Instead of accepting responsibility, acknowledging her mistakes, and rolling up her sleeves to help set Maayan free, she is continuing to sidestep these questions, absolve herself of responsibility, and minimize the significance of sending an innocent black teenage boy to prison for life. That is simply unconscionable and it is unacceptable. And those are not the qualities that we need to see in our next president of the United States.
Let me ask you about this BuzzFeed report. Klobuchar has also been criticized for failing to bring charges against a single police officer who killed a citizen in her 8-year run as the top prosecutor in Minnesota's most populous county. There were more than 24 police-involved killings in that period. Nekima Levy-Armstrong, can you weigh in here?
Absolutely. Amy Klobuchar received the endorsement of police unions when she ran her various campaigns. And as a result, she did not hold police officers accountable. She worked very closely with the Minneapolis Police Department that has had a long history of corruption. As a matter of fact, about $4.8 million in lawsuits were settled against the Minneapolis Police Department in 122 police misconduct cases during the time period in which Amy Klobuchar was the Hennepin County attorney. And so she had a very close relationship with police. The black community called her out consistently for not holding police officers accountable. As a matter of fact, a shooting of a teenager happened in 2004, and that teenager's mother sent Amy Klobuchar a letter asking her to not use a grand jury and to charge the officers who killed her son. Amy Klobuchar did not even respond to that mother's letter. And this was an African-American woman simply demanding justice on behalf of her child.
Nekima Levy-Armstrong, I want to thank you for being with us.
Super dope interview. So there it is from someone in Minneapolis who's got a better handle of the history of Amy Klobuchar. Who's surprised? I'm not surprised one bit. Did you know that about Amy Klobuchar? I told you that story was one of those stories where it's like made for television. Mother dies in a fiery car crash. They offering this brother's all kind of plea deals. He says he won't do it for himself and for the dearly departed young girl. I remember that story. They made a big deal out of the story. She was at her kitchen table, and they it was another rationale to go crazy in the hood in terms of like throwing a lot of time at brothers. And Amy Klobuchar was right there. That's how she became a senator. So all you got to do is get cozy up with the police union, turn your back on the black community, and then try to use every opportunity you can to flex. Yeah, so Amy Klobuchar brought this back up. She probably, forgot where she was and figured, nobody would catch on to it. And now it's all out there. Now, doesn't she have a lot to answer for? She wouldn't let the young man go and see his mother. If in fact all of that is true. I thought the sister was spot on. She was super spot on. Wow. That is dope right there. Great interview. That's some Democracy Now! They do great work. Check them out. You're not going to see an interview like that on ABC, or maybe you won't. Maybe you will. Like, that interview was recent, like the last couple of days. And, now every interview I see after that, I'm going to use that as a measuring stick to see if some of those issues and questions are going to come up. And that's Amy Klobuchar. We haven't even got to Pete Buttigieg and the former black city council person who went on that show and basically, I guess he kept it real about Pete Buttigieg and said that he too had a bad relationship with the African American to no relationship with the black community in South Bend, Indiana. It's very interesting. And this is just from about 4 days ago. And you need to hear what this brother has to say if you're going to be making decisions. Because I'm just amazed how we get what we get here. It's like Bloomberg's got a troubled, questionable history as it relates to African Americans and black folks and the way he thinks about black folks and his incarceration rates and stop and frisk. Pete Buttigieg's got a questionable relationship with the African American community in South Bend where he was a mayor. So like if you're a mayor and you want to jump to president or you hold any political office and want to go on to become president, I think it's completely fair to look at what you did and what your relationships were, when you were in power. Because a great indicator of the future is the past. You ain't going to suddenly change because you're the president. You're going to be the same person you were. So what kind of person were you? And you got to hear what this brother has to say. Check this out.
But as the race moves on now to Nevada and South Carolina, Buttigieg continues to poll extremely low with African-American voters. His own former constituents are condemning his treatment of the black community in South Bend during his time as mayor, calling out systemic racism in the police force. During Buttigieg's tenure as mayor from 2012 to 18, black residents were 4.3 times more likely to be arrested for possessing marijuana than white people. At last week's presidential debate, ABC News moderator Lindsay Davis questioned Pete Buttigieg about the rise in arrests of black people under his administration.
Well, the reality is, on my watch, drug arrests in South Bend were lower than the national average. The overall rate was lower.
No, there was an increase. The year before you were in office, it was lower. Once you became in office in 2012, that number went up. In 2018, the last year that we have a record for, that number was still up.
Yep. And one of the strategies that our community adopted was to target when there were cases where there was gun violence and gang violence, which was slaughtering so many in our community.
Well, for more, we go to Chicago, where we're joined by Henry Davis Jr.
So his answer is one of the strategies that our community adopted. You were the mayor. You mean the strategy that you adopted? What the hell? Yeah. So one of the strategies that our community adopted. We see you, Pete. We see you.
Jr., a South Bend City Council member since 2008. Welcome to Democracy Now!, Henry Davis Jr. Can you talk about your experience as a city council member with your mayor at the time? He just recently stepped down, Pete Buttigieg, who's now just placed second in the New Hampshire primary.
Well, thank you for having me. My time working with Mayor Buttigieg was, at best, was contentious. It was very difficult to get across to him and also to his administration how African Americans were living in South Bend and some of the issues that confronted them on a daily basis. You're talking about double-digit unemployment. You're talking about a very high poverty rate, over 40%. You're talking about high crime. You're talking about schools shutting down, closing. And even some of those policies, when it came to 1,000 houses, 1,000 days program, when he decided to go through the hood or, in the black and brown areas, and he wanted to demolish those homes. And the homes were demolished, but it wasn't the fact that some of those homes didn't need to come down. It was the fact that there was no affordable housing program that came behind it. And so now we're still dealing with, empty lots, high weeds, and a lot of varmints that are living in those empty lots. And so you're talking about right now, even with the police force, you have the lowest number serving of African-American officers in the police force in South Bend. So, there are a number of issues that confronted the African-American community and that he really chose not to deal with. And so as a councilman and having a predominantly black district, a lot of those, fights were held and had on the council floor. And I did as much as I could to satisfy the residents and the constituencies, but it was very hard going back and forth and not getting that money invested back into the community like it should have been. And so here we are now, dealing with a presidential idea of a Pete Buttigieg, and even back in South Bend, how do we correct some of these social ills in its environment? African Americans. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I wanted to say the whole country learned about the murder of Eric Logan, a black South Bend resident who was shot and killed by white police officer Ryan O'Neal because, of course, at the time, Mayor Pete Buttigieg was running for president. Can you talk about how he handled that and also about the firing of the first black police chief, Darrell Boykins?
Well, just like I just talked about, he didn't handle it. And if he did handle it, it was a fumble. Eric Logan was a combination of events that took place since he took office back in 2012. Right after he took office, there was a young man by the name of Michael Anderson that ended up dying under suspicious circumstances with the South Bend Police Department. There was another young man named Deshaun Franklin who happened to be sleeping in his home, and he was attacked and brutally beaten up by South Bend Police. And, none of those officers were even disciplined. Then you had Eric Logan, and a lot of things happened in between there as well. But then you have Eric Logan who died, at the end of a gun, And so we, it just has not been a good ride. South Bend needs a do-over. And this is like, the things that has happened right now with the Democratic Party. As a whole, blacks, African Americans is the backbone of the Democratic Party. And we desire good schools. We desire safe neighborhoods. We desire good jobs. We desire the same thing that most people desire and need and want to live in America. And if we're planning on beating a Donald Trump, this coming November, we have to have a organized and unified attack that's going to make sure that there's a candidate out in front that's going to be interested in making sure that we not only vote, but those things that we're voting for are going to happen. And right now, you have a slate of candidates. They're everywhere. They're not talking about the hardcore issues that you would talk about at your kitchen table, at their local diner, or even at church. They're not talking about those things. They're talking about just a lot of different wild ideas on how this is supposed to work. This is not a student council race. This is for the presidency of the United States of America. This is the rule of the free world. And African Americans are Americans. And we desire to have our priorities as a part of someone's platform.
I wanted to bring Barbara Smith, the feminist scholar, back into this conversation. And as you're listening to these two examples, looking at Bloomberg, looking at Buttigieg, your thoughts?
High, aren't they? I think that they always say this is the most important election of our lifetime, but given what's in the White House at this point, and given what's going on in our nation, we really have to be very, very alert, and we really need to look at the candidates and figure out which one of them is capable. And obviously, the things that were just discussed about two of the candidates, as far as I'm concerned, that makes them unelectable. Because another racist in the White House, that's just like a little too much to bear. I think that we do have a candidate who deals with bread and butter issues, and that's why I'm supporting Bernie Sanders.
Henry Davis Jr., if you could talk about, I guess the population of South Bend is something like, it's more than a quarter African American. In the last minute that we have you been surprised at the rise of your former mayor, of Pete Buttigieg, from South Bend mayor and all the controversies that were there at the time, to now being one of the front runners for president in the United States?
I'm absolutely surprised by the rise. There's an expectation of presidential, but there's also something that needs to go behind that and something to support it, and that means a resume and some real life things that have occurred. Biden took a text out on Mayor Pete, recently this past week, and talked about his lack of experience. And although those things probably were pretty hardcore, the truth is that we expect that we're going to have a president that has some support from the rest of the U.S. Senate, some support from the rest of the U.S. Congress, but not only that, but have some real life experience at trying to be or being a president or being something that is more than a mayor. And so we desire somebody there that is going to be able to, day one, take over the reins and try to correct some of the things that Donald Trump has, stepped on and hurt us with.
We're going to have to leave it there. Henry Davis Jr., thank you so much, as well as...
Okay, so I don't want to bore you to death, but I thought that every bit of that was good information if you're hearing it for the first time about Amy Klobuchar and Pete Buttigieg from people that have a history with them. Have a history. It's just amazing how you can rise in politics in America while turning your back on the black community at the same time. It's just amazing. And, in these woke time and days, it's amazing the background of some of these candidates and what people are willing to do and vote for in the name of anybody but Trump. Anybody but Trump. But if you got Trump criminal justice attitudes and policies, what's the difference? What's the difference? I just can't see it. I just can't see. Like, if you can't get, but again, you can always find somebody who's going to criticize you. But if what they're saying is in fact facts, why would I trust you just with a vote? I don't see it. It's just like some of these people that are like pro Bloomberg. What it is, and the reason the Democrat Party is rolling with him is because he's got the money to project themselves into all American households for a long duration of time. I mean, it could happen. It could happen. Anything could happen in the age of Trump politically. Anything. But what do you think? 513-873-7134. Now, I posted this on Inside the Friends page and also on the Nathan Ivey Show page as well. There is an event happening later on today that I want to make sure I tell you about. Matter of fact, there's several events that are going to be happening that I want to tell you about. Yeah, this event, I thought it was interesting. I thought folks might get into it. Roots, the beginning of Cincinnati, Hamilton County racist history. That's going to be down at the at New Prospect Baptist Church today. Again, check out the flyer. It's on my Facebook page. Many of you on Facebook as well. You can check it out. Also, I want to give you a heads up on some community events that are going to be happening that may or may not be on your radar screen. The city is changing. Things are changing. And there are going to be some community conversations about those changes and giving people a heads up and also informing people about what's going on. All right. So I'll tell you about that in just a couple of minutes. Good morning. Hope you had a great weekend. What'd you think about that? Did you know that about that case with Amy Klobuchar? Wouldn't even let the young man go see his mama who died tragically in a car crash. And then think about that. Here you are incarcerated. You've been down 18 years. I'm not sure where they were in a timeline when he was offered the plea deals, but he could have shortened his time. He said, no, I don't want to do it because I don't want to plead guilty to something that I didn't do. That's some strength like a mofo. So I don't want to do that. Oh, man. I think it's worthy of digging a little deeper into that story just to have a background, be interested in general as to what happened in the rise of Amy Klobuchar. Seems like she was like the white female version of Joe Dieters. That's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like. But what are we going to do this time? Will it be different? I don't know. I mean, Joe stepped up several times. It's never worked. You know, Fanon Rucker. But that was different because he was a write-in candidate that first time, I believe, right? This will be different. This will be different. Good morning to you. Listen, if you want to share your thoughts, 513-873-7134. That's the number you can use to get access to the show and transform your brainwaves into talk radio waves. Oh, I see it. I see it. I see John's calling in. Let's take John's phone call. Why don't we say good morning to John on a Monday? Hey, John, Hey, John, good morning to you. Welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Nate and Ivy and the good people of Cincinnati, as well as the people around the world. And yes, those choppers. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. What's up? How are you?
Well,
how was your weekend?
Oh, I am fine. A little echo in the background, but we'll just dance through it. Sunny Florida. It's about 75 degrees. Clear as a bell compared to all that rain over the weekend we had. But it's nice today.
Lucky you.
And as I was sitting back listening to your flows this morning, interesting flows. Before we get to Mr. Buttigieg and Miss Little Sweet Amy,
Miss Little Sweet Amy.
I don't know if you saw the second lead story on 60 Minutes. Here we go again, choppers. Hold on to your clusters. If you saw that second lead show on 60 Minutes, and it talked about the hacking and the conspiracy and the computer systems, which John from Princeton talked about many times. Some of you just say, well, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, we see what Trump did with the Russians and that other country over there and the computerized systems and what they know and what they don't know. Well, if you didn't get a chance, pull up YouTube and watch the second lead show on 60 Minutes last night. And it would put light to all of the mess that happened in 2016. And yes, the Democrats knew about this stuff too. How much they did know and what they did, we don't know. But if you watch 60 Minutes, read between the lines in the interview, you can see Republicans and Democrats do dirty stuff. And even if the Democrats knew and didn't know and didn't want to deal with it, the information they turned over to the government is another thing. Watch that lead story. It's very interesting. And if you get a chance to watch it once, watch it twice.
Watch it twice.
Soak into
okay.
What's going to happen.
Okay. I may do that, John. What else is on your mind?
End of the year. So, because it was some very interesting speed through that leads you to the computerized system, where these votes go, how it can be easily hacked into. Didn't John from Princeton say this many times? Okay, yes.
Well, John, we already know this stuff.
Too much
You're not the only person to say that.
But yes, I will, because it put lights to how the system can be corrupt, hacked into. That's why I don't like.
I don't care.
Voting.
You still got to get in there and vote.
Anybody can get to the system. Hey, if these two snotty-nosed white boys about 10 years ago can hack into the World Bank, I said that to a friend of mine at Fort Lauderdale Bank. Hey, why should I be bothered with this whole online shopping and doing stuff with my bank system? I don't trust none of it.
Okay.
And I don't trust electronic voting too.
Okay, well, then you don't have to electronic vote.
I didn't like it then, and I don't like it now. If you don't,
well, I don't know how they do things in New Jersey, John. Hey, John, hold on for a second. I'm not sure how to do things in New Jersey, but there's still a paper ballot aspect to it, I believe. So they can go back and, double check it, just so you know.
Well, John can go on and on and on.
Yeah, you can.
But I won't.
Thank
you.
Now
that leads me into Mr. Buttigieg.
Mr. Who?
We don't know much about him, but his stuff is coming out little by little. Some of it has already been out, but we talked about this once before. The power of the gay community and that gay bloc. Yes, they are very powerful. John doesn't have nothing against the gay community. So LGBTB and okay, don't call up yelling and screaming, you don't like gays. No, I did not say I didn't like gays. I'm just saying they've taken their platform from the civil rights movement and they ran with it. Let's just put it that way. And you've been successful with it. And the gay community runs across the board. It's not just the Democrats. There's some sneaky Republicans that are gay too. They don't throw their stuff out there.
Where are you going with this?
They're a powerful bloc across the board. And when it comes down to it, you heard what Trump said over the weekend. Hey, I want you to vote for Buttigieg. Some of you Republicans switch your votes. That stuff will happen. Last-minute votes will come out of Republicans and Democrats to get what they want, and that will happen. So we can talk about this. And Mr. Nathan, you can shut John up from Florida and chime in any time. This is going to be sneaky and dirty. And yes, the Trumpsters want Mr. Buttigieg to be the nominee. He don't want to deal with Bernie. He don't want to deal with Biden. He wants Mr. Buttigieg.
All right.
Your comments, sir.
Well, John, I'm going to hang up and I'll give my comments. I appreciate it, brother. Appreciate that. That man. That man right there. I mean, any old excuse not to vote, huh? Don't let that stop you, John. Be smart this time. Nobody's feeling Buttigieg. Once black people hear that, then it's going to make them feel like, okay, this is the reason why he's polling so low right now. I mean, I just don't see it. I don't see it. Klobuchar, I definitely don't see it. Bloomberg, I don't see it. But, I mean, will his money trump his past racism? Because it might. Because right now, a lot of people, black people included, they want anybody but Trump. If you look at some of the recent polling that asks black folks what they're looking for somebody that can beat Trump. So will black voters hold their nose and vote for Bloomberg because they perceive he's got the money to beat Trump? Yet to be revealed. That's yet to be revealed. Tracy writes, hi. Sharp writes, good morning, Nathan and the Choppers. New week and new adventures. Ashley writes, good morning, Nathan and the Choppers. Happy Monday. Today, Kiki and I celebrate our birthdays. Hashtag Aquarius. I did see that. Happy birthday to you and Kiki. Cassandra writes, hey, Choppers. Ray writes, grand risings all. Mason Marler writes, morning, Nathan and the Choppers. Most of my heroes don't appear on those stamps. Mason Marler writes, the NBA All-Star game was fire. Really? The coach of FC Cincinnati said, Naker, please, LOL. Is that what he said? Yeah, I don't know exactly what he said. I did read that he got himself basically, what was he, suspended? Yeah, because he used the N-word. And, I mean, you know, people going to have to learn, I guess. They got to learn the hard way. Did he say this when they were practicing? I believe it's something like that. Yes. I don't know the full story. Can you tell? I'm not aware of the full story, but I do know that happened. Brian writes, morning. How many people agree with me that Aaron Gordon got robbed? He got robbed, and he also made a mistake in terms of two things. I think that second to last dunk, the off the side of the rim, windmill, tomahawk, it was more like a tomahawk, right? Off the side of the rim, tomahawk, 180 while twirling in the air dunk. That right there got a 50, right? And he put it together flawlessly. I mean, just when you think you can't make any more dunks, I thought that was one of the best and most athletic dunks I saw. If you're going to try to jump over like some tall person, you have to clear him completely. He can't put his head down because then he's not 7 foot, whatever he is. If you're going to jump over somebody, like jump over a car, it's not so much about style. You have to clear the jump completely. He didn't do that. I don't even remember the other dude's dunks. He got robbed. Kush writes, good morning, Nate and Choppers. Ms. D writes, won't her having a restaurant help her pay the city back? Folks just mad that she is bouncing back. Ms. D, doesn't that make a lot of sense? But that's if you're coming from a position of like, you don't have a bias and you're just looking at it objectively. All these folks was online talking all this ish on Facebook about Liz Rogers and why she didn't do this and how she didn't do that. And they're not going to support her anymore until she pays the money back. But are they that selective about every city, every government, or I'm sorry, every entity that got money from the city and then pay it back? There's a long list of them. But we only talk about the black female. That's all we're allowed to talk about. Mike Jones writes, good morning, Choppers. Pamela writes, good morning, Nate and Choppers. Terrence writes, good morning, Nate and Choppers. Kush writes, happy birthday, Kiki and Ashley. Sonny went in on Amy, gave her the business. Well, you know, gave her the business. I think she just held her accountable. She had the knowledge to hold her accountable. That's why Amy didn't even get into it. And the fact that she didn't even get into it tells me that in her heart, she knows that she was wrong. Because if you feel like you didn't do something wrong and it's controversial, you're not going to come out and apologize per se. You're going to push back and say, well, let me explain to you. If you feel justified in your position on a particular case and you feel like you did the right thing and you feel like the right person is behind bars, you're not going to just kind of dance around like that. You're going to push back because you feel like your professional integrity is in stake. She offered no pushback. She didn't want to get into it. She started talking about her black surrogates and she got some black folks that work on her campaign in California. And I'm like, it sounds like she was reading off a script in her head. It was crazy. It was crazy. Same thing with Pete Buttigieg. They asked him a question during debate as to why the incarceration rates for marijuana go up. This mofo started talking about other shit. First, he tried to lie. If you go back, first Buttigieg tried to lie. He's like, oh, well, they did go up. Mine was the highest. And she was like, no, Buster, we got the facts in front of us. Boom, here's what really happened. And then he tried to explain it, talking about, well, the community decided this. But you're the mayor. You're the mayor. You can't have it both ways. You can't claim you're the mayor and therefore you're in a leadership position every day. And, the things that come out of that time while you were in office are a production of your office. While you don't want to take advantage and take credit for what actually happened. I thought that was quite interesting. And to me, I'm like surprised that these people are so unprepared to answer these obvious questions. You're going to be asked questions about that. You should be prepared. You know what I'm saying? She couldn't even keep it real and say, oh, well, I stand by what I did. I stand by the record. She's talking about something. I think we should call for new evidence. We should have all the evidence. What does that mean? You didn't do that the first time? Oh, well, we should have all the evidence, she said, Amy Klobuchar. We should have all the evidence. Didn't you do that the first? That's what we're talking about, is that you didn't have all the evidence, that it was a bad prosecution, and this brother's been locked down for 18 years, and you out here yabba dabba doing, making excuses. But that just goes to show you that when she probably goes into some of these little, fundraising events and there's not a lot of people of color there or no people of color, she's back there bragging about how she was with the FOP and she got an endorsement. You know what's happening behind closed doors. She's back there bragging about how she got tough because this little black girl got killed at the kitchen table, even though the young man you got probably isn't the person who did it. What does that matter? Don't mess up a good story with the facts. I can't feel her. Mike Jones writes, yes, Dusty Rhodes and his racist comrades were in GCP spreading hate about Liz Rogers. I don't look at any other way but racism. Absolutely. Absolutely. FG writes, good morning, good people. Mr. Mueller writes, Dusty Rhodes is a racist good old boy. Is that right? Tracy writes, she just bypassed the question. Yeah, that's what they do. Just listen to politicians. You ask them a question and it's difficult, they'll just bypass it. They'll just soft shoe you. So, they'll pivot it and say, well, I think what the real issue is this. They'll frame it the way they want to. Or they'll try anyway. Mike Davis writes, rise and shine, young stars. She was completely caught off guard. I mean, it seems like You didn't think that Sunny Hostins, haven't you seen some of her other interviews? That's what she do on that show. She goes hard for the black community when they talking to these folks and there's questions to be asked. And Joy Behar tries to sit there and be their friend and snark and tell little dumbass jokes under her breath. That's what they do. Maybe Whoopi will chime in. I don't know. You said the All-Star game was good like that, huh? It was on. I was in and out doing some other things, but Tracy writes, Sunny is handling her ass. Baquan writes, good morning, y'all. Alt middles for the children to protect them from incessant nonsense passed on from generation past. You are immersed. Renee writes, good morning, everyone. Biased interview, Sunny Hostins is a dumb beaver. That's Baquan and Chef, a.k.a. Fame. Mike Jones writes, Klobuchar's presidential hopes are DOA. Yeah, because she's not going to get any black community support whatsoever. Makes me wonder why she's even running. Mike Davis writes, best all-star game ever, Mahler. Common would star the show. Is that right? I had to go back and watch the clips. Pat Rogers writes, good morning. Kermir writes, good morning, all of you. Kermir writes, most blacks are over-prosecuted, absolutely. Clue Magic writes, good morning, Nate and Choppers. Miss Tiffany writes, morning. So this morning we've been talking about the presidential candidates that have a questionable history when it comes to the black community. So far we've been talking about, and that includes Donald Trump. So far we've been talking about the Democrat candidates because these are new faces, and one of these individuals is going to win. Like more and more and more, this is looking more like the same three-person race that it always was. Or that it would always appear to be. And that's Biden, Sanders, and Warren. I mean, people are getting excited about Pete Buttigieg, and he's got his Frederick Douglass Black America plan and all this, but, you know, did you have a Frederick Douglass plan when you were actually the mayor of South Bend? Brother Muzon writes, good morning, Choppers. Home all day, prepping for this colonoscopy tomorrow morning. Whoa. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing to hear a brother doing, though, man. Yeah. Yeah, man. Make sure. Take care. We'll see you on the other side. Mr. Mueller writes, FC Cincinnati coach says, Nager, please. Now, what would make this FC Cincinnati coach think he could say something like that and get away with it? You know what I'm saying? What would make them think that? Okay, here he is. He's stepping down, huh? Good. FC Cincinnati manager Ron Johns has been accused of using a racial slur in front of some of the team's players and has stepped away from his coaching duties while the league investigates the matter. Jeff Birding, wait. The incident first reported by the Athletic took place earlier in preseason. ESPN television analyst Taylor Twellman tweeted that Jans told FCC President Jeff Birding that the incident involved Jans singing a song in the locker room that contained the N-word. So he was singing a song in the locker room that contained the N-word. Is that what it is? Or is that just the soft story they put out beforehand? Either way, it's problematic. I would say either way is problematic. Like, number one, you shouldn't be singing the songs that the coaches, that the players are singing and playing in the damn locker room. You're the coach. Either way, it sounds like he got himself in trouble for something really, really simple and silly. I mean, that just tells me he's been using that racial slur. And what was he singing? Drink or something? He's probably singing Snoop, down for my. Got him in trouble. Now, it was bound to happen. It was bound to happen. That's my take on it. 513-873-7134. It was a trip the night before, Muzon. I did the two-step prep. Oh, boy. Okay, I'll let y'all have that. I'll let y'all have that conversation. Cam writes, meanwhile, Trump and his administration has taken notes on all these whack Democrat candidates as they expose their hands. Everyone knows Trump's hand and his base accept it and says, so what? So that they can win. Will the Dems unite and do the same ? Well, you know he is. Oh, my, yeah. You know, Trump's going to sit back and come up with some nice little funny names. You know, he's going to talk about Bloomberg and his racial history. He's going to talk about all of it. Despite his own, issues, that's exactly what he's going to do. Good morning to you. Good morning, everybody. So what do you think? William Barr needs to be fired. You think so? I see John ain't talking that Elizabeth Warren ish no more. Where's Zorro? Because that's all it was just ish. It was just ish. Tracy writes, looking into the battlegrounds of each of the Dem candidates just reaffirms that Democrats and Republicans are two different sides of the same racist coin. They don't care about black people. Baquan writes, an hour into the show and there's less than 80 comments. Ain't nobody care about this election. The fix is in. The presidential election got exposed in 2000 when it was learned the popular vote has no legal significance. Karamir writes, tell Toby Keith to pay back the city too, right? Cam writes, who went to the NAACP 2020 County Forum there locally in Cincy? It's tomorrow, I believe. That forum is tomorrow. Sissy Tigers writes, good morning. Clue Magic writes, Gordon got screwed. Going into the dunk off, he's gotten all 50s on his efforts. I think the NBA wanted the Miami kid to win. I think so too. Plus you also had D Wade that was over there. And he was one of the people I think that gave him a 9 or something like that. Plus the other thing is he didn't completely clear him. In my opinion, he did him out of whack. He should have done the Taco Fall. That should have been the second to last. But to me, the more spectacular dunk was the second to last dunk from the side of the rim, tomahawk with one hand, 180 twirling in the air, slam it perfectly. He got a 50 because he deserved it on that one. He didn't deserve a 50 on a Taco Fall. He doesn't want to hear it, but it's the truth. If you're going to jump over somebody at that level, you have to jump over him. Just imagine that he had jumped over Taco Fall completely. Doesn't touch him. There's air in between Taco Ball's head and, whatever on Aaron Gordon as he's skying over him. That would have got a 50. But he just barely jumped over him. And Taco Fall, if he didn't put his head down, he wouldn't be in the NBA anymore. Might would have injured his neck for at least a few games. And that's what happens, man. Tanika writes, good morning. She writes, Sonny Hoskin is the truth. She always asks the hard questions. Right. I don't even watch The View. I watch the clips of The View, and I can tell you that if you come on and you got some kind of troubled history, former prosecutor, she's a former prosecutor, she's going to ask you she's going to be the one that asks you the tough questions. Is the country ready for a first gentleman, the husband of Buttigieg? Rush Limbaugh says no. He might be right about that in some parts. I mean, some parts of the country, yeah. Some parts of the country, no. Oh, Lord, is that the reason why he got in trouble? Trump and Bloomberg are the same MF. Mike Davis writes, what y'all think about One United Bank? I've heard good things about him, and I've heard bad things about him. I don't personally have an account with them, but I would. I'm open to it. I like the idea of banking while black. I love the idea of it. Clue Magic writes, Taco ducked a little bit and he had to. Brian writes, he pushed up with the basketball as well. It just wasn't a 10 dunk. It's not a 10 dunk if you're going to jump over somebody unless you jump over them like jumping over hurdles, like Michael Johnson, like with authority and room to spare. But he didn't do that. And it just didn't go well for him. And plus you had D Wade over there that was in the bag essentially for any Miami player. And he had talked about it. So I don't know. I guess it was cool. Nothing wrong with that. It's worse things on television. It's much worse things on television. I will say I saw something dope actually over the weekend. I'm sure many of you have already seen it. but it was that Netflix series on Malcolm X. That is well worth your time. I know some people told me about that. I got a chance to finally, in the last week or so, got a chance to catch up with it, and it is well worth. Oh my God, it opens doors and asks more questions about who really killed Malcolm X. It is worth your time. It's well produced, very well produced. It is definitely worth your time. Good morning to you. 513-873-7134. There's a couple of events that I want to make sure that I tell you about this morning. And if you're into what's going on here politically, then you definitely want to make sure that you check this out. Could be something that you want to check out. All right. Good morning. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Definitely rock with them at Mike D. Aren't they the largest black bank in terms of deposits? Got to support. Brian writes, he pushed up with, I think I read that as well. Okay, great. That works. That works, Cam. Absolutely. I'm down with that. Looking forward to it, actually. Let me go back here. I think I got most of it. Good morning to you. So are people working today? Are you off today? What's your situation like for today? Today is President's Day. There's a lot of people that, depending on where you work, it could be just a holiday, right? But my guess is that, working class folks, man, you might not be taking this day off. Oh, that's great. That's great. Love to see it. I don't know, Cam. We shall find out together. That is for sure. Are you ready for the first gentleman? I don't know. All I know is that when it comes to black folks, it seems like it's becoming slimmer and slimmer pickings with these presidential candidates. I mean, no candidate is going to be perfect. But why would I think that your attitude toward, the community that I'm a part of is going to be different now that you actually become, a president? I don't know. All right, I want to give you a heads up. There's a couple of community forums. One is going to be at the Word of Deliverance on February the 25th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And the other is going to be at Mount Healthy City Council on March 9th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And there's a new initiative that's going to invest about $130 million per year to improve Hamilton County's transportation system to fix roads, bridges, and the bus system. Issue 7 will create a better, more equitable community by fixing the roads and bridges we all traveled on and connecting nearly 350,000 jobs to 24-hour bus service, creating new crosstown routes, and improving the frequency of the Metro bus. So because of that, there are going to be 2 community forums, okay, that are going to be, an opportunity to get more information with the community again. February 25th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. That's going to be at the Word of Deliverance. And then again on March 9th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., that's going to be at Mount Healthy City Council. Mount Healthy City Council. And they're saying this issue 7 is going to invest, as I told you, a lot of money and start to revamp some of our transportation lines. What do you think? Are you aware of this? Sure you are. And do you think you can be in attendance? I think I'm going to plan to be there. Check it out. Report back. See, off working. Okay. Mike Jones right there. I think I read it already. Cam writes, I think One United is a green bank just like the others, controlled by the feds. See, you think that One United Bank is a green bank? I don't know. I don't know if it is or not. I think I know what you mean by a green dot bank. And I don't know. I mean, from what I can understand, these were some former financial executives that decided to do something different. And, while they can't have a bank in every, state starting out, it's sort of like a national bank. And, the money, apparently they give money and loan money to, black owned businesses. So we shall see. Somebody says, I'm not totally sold on issue 7. You know, that's what the information was about, but I'm going to reach out and see if we can get some folks on just to give us a perspective. I'd love to get a good debate. Again, the initiative will invest $130 million per year to improve Hamilton County's transportation system to fix roads, bridges, and the bus system. And because of that, they are going to have a couple of community events. One is going to be on February the 25th at the Word of Deliverance from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And the other is going to be at the Mount Healthy City Council on March 9th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And I'm going to try my best to make the first. I think I'll get there on the 25th and check it out and report back for the community. Drop writes, Black and Hispanic Democrats in Nevada and South Carolina, you better show up in Obama numbers. If not, the orange one will be reelected. Yeah, people keep talking about Donald Trump being reelected. I think that's just more to spin. All the poll numbers suggest it's going to be an uphill battle for El Presidente, depending on who that nominee is going to be. And I don't know. I mean, it could be Bernie. They're trying to scare people by saying Bernie's a socialist. Well, what does that mean exactly? I don't even know that. To me, socialism is like wealth sharing. And I know everybody has capitalistic dreams, and I think you should be able to work hard and make your money. But I do think there's a level in which, you know, the tax contributions that you make back into the government coffers can be used in terms of vehicles, I won't say programs, to uplift people, to enlighten people. I do believe in that. But they say Bernie's a socialist because he starts talking about giving you free college and things like this. But don't they do this in some of those like very popular European countries that have like a super long life expectancy, and when polled, everybody loves where they live? I mean, like I said, Americans, it's not that I'm trying to say we should get anything free, but maybe some things have a huge cost to them that should have been free from day one. I don't know if I'm ready to say that you should be able to go to college for free, although I like the idea of it. That would go a long way, you know, especially in some of these downtrodden communities where they're economically depressed, no real investment, generational poverty. How's she going to beat that? What, you going to hope that somebody goes to football camp and becomes the next Herschel Walker, the next Emmitt Smith? There's not that many spaces in the NBA or the NFL. You know what I'm saying? But they call that socialism. But it's not called socialism when the Republicans sign a tax bill that largely benefits billionaires and 100 millionaires. That ain't socialism. That's not the government picking winners and choosers. That's allowing you to keep more of the money you earn. You know, that's how they spend it. Terrence writes, issue 7 also helps our low socioeconomic disadvantaged veterans throughout our communities as well, especially some of our disabled veterans. Klumazic writes, working today, off the rest of the week. Ow. Miss Tiffany writes, off and listening while at the gym. That's great to hear. That's great to hear. Listen, y'all, I'm a testimony. I got a testimony on many levels. All that heart stuff is serious. Take care of yourself. Get that exercise in. Build up those, they call it good cholesterol. My doctors say that's the way you build it, through exercise. That's one reason why you want to exercise, to build up your good cholesterol. But genetically, everybody's different. There's some people that just trash their bodies and never really have any real serious issues. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. 513-873-7134. If you'd like to share your thoughts this morning. Currently 9:24 a.m. College shouldn't cost what it does. Why not have an educated society? Good morning to you, CG Dub. Good to see you. Kermir writes, our company gives 11 days a year. I'm off. I think American workers should get more days off than they actually do, personally. But, that's just me. That's just me. Good morning. Oh, man, that's great. I see great things. Okay. Happy birthday to you. A lot of Aquarius, huh? I'm not going to hold that against you. I won't hold it against you. Okay, I see some folks out there. Issue 7. Is that Kim Hardy? What's up? Good morning to you, Kim, if you're listening. Yeah, good morning. That's great. Oh, that's great. Oh, what's this? Oh, okay. Cool. I love seeing that. Sorry, I'm getting caught up on Facebook. Okay. Any more thoughts on issue 7? As I said, they've got 2 community information sessions, one on the 25th, one on the 6th, both starting at 6 p.m. The first one is going to be at the Word of Deliverance. The second will be at the Mount Healthy City Council, and you can get more information. Oh, I love it. Oh, that's great. Let me. Sorry. Oh, okay, that's cool. Love it. I love it, man. All right, back to your chat here. I think I've got the gist of it. It's not free if we are using our own tax dollars. They are currently giving out said dollars to farmers, have done so for rich banks and the auto industry. True. I said it before. Why not invest directly in the people? We can bail out the auto industry. We can bail out Wall Street. But we can't bail out the people. Is that the problem? See, I'm inside the Friends page. 12 hours ago, Crystal posted an image of what appears to be a little black girl holding a gun. Could be a real gun. I think this is from the artist named Kevin Gates. And his daughter is... So Kevin Gates brought his daughter a gun. Thoughts? He shared this on Instagram. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, what's the difference between this and when we see these white kids, they be on the range? What's the difference? I mean, there's nothing wrong with teaching your kids proper gun safety and how to fire a weapon. That's not illegal in America. Let's go to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hey, it's Tracy. How are you, Nathan?
I'm doing good, Tracy. Good morning.
I found out how prejudiced and paranoid I was this weekend, and in doing so, I actually thought about you. So Saturday night, my husband and I went to see Alex Bouillon at the Ludlow Garage. And as we're trying to find our seats, we approach our seats, and the 2 empty seats that we were to sit in was next to a woman who was sitting there with one of those masks on, like the ones that everybody is wearing now with the coronavirus. So I'm looking at my husband, and he's looking at me, and I'm looking like, I ain't about to sit next to her.
Right.
Because, I didn't know what she had. And my husband, when we go to concerts, I always sit on the outside seat. So I wasn't going to cause a scene. So I sit down next to her, and I guess my body language, of course, told it all. And she flips out this little notepad, like a 3x2x3 notepad. And she already had her speech written. She said, "Please don't be alarmed. I'm not contagious. I'm just trying not to catch anything." So I kind of chuckled, and I thanked her for her note. But then this woman starts coughing throughout the damn concert. And I'm like, if you're not contagious, why are you sitting here coughing? So, I just tried to do my best, sitting there in this concert. It was a great concert. But, man, just walking up on her, I looked at her like she had the coronavirus, Ebola, and everything mixed under the sun, H1N1. And I just really felt kind of bad. I was like, wow, I shouldn't really prejudge her. But the woman did still cough throughout the concert. So I really don't know. But
Wow.
I just wanted to share that. I said Nathan would not be sitting next. He'd probably be upstairs trying to get a refund. That's what I was sitting.
Yeah, I can see myself trying to get a refund on that one. That's a tough one, especially like you said, H1N1.
Right, I went way back, didn't I?
Yeah, you went back on that. But you're right, though. You know, we seen all this stuff from people with these masks on. That's why she had her little notepad ready. It's some people that would have caused a scene right then and there. Like, why did you even let her in the door?
Right. I mean, she had something, Nathan. She really did, because she kept coughing. But, you know, knock on wood, I'm you know, just gonna watch myself.
Was this a white woman?
Take some of that. Yes, she was, but it wouldn't have made no difference to me. You know, I'm looking at the mask. I saw beyond all of that.
Right. I'm just thinking, like, why not stay home?
Why I said prejudice, not racist, but, you know.
My thing is, if you're that sick that you're coughing and you got a mask on, stay home. That's what you should do. In a polite society, you should stay your ass home. But she like, bump it. I just don't care about the experience of the people around me as long as I get to see the show.
Right. It wasn't like it was a club level jazz festival seat at $120. These tickets was like $45. It's like, lady, cough that up. Yeah, cough that up. And that's pun intended. But, you know, hopefully she didn't have anything contagious and it's not seeping through the damn mask.
Right.
Then I'll be sick. But she did cough. But I just wanted to share that little chuckle with you.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's an interesting story. Take it easy. What would you do? That's a tough one right there. I mean, kind of tough. Tough for her more so. Because I wouldn't want to sit next to her. Like, you coughing like that? Now, you could say, well, it could have been worse. She couldn't have had a mask. But it's just something about the mask that makes it worse. You know what I'm saying? Like, you walking in with a mask, that's an acknowledgement to everybody that something's going on. Either you have a compromised respiratory system and you're trying to prevent from getting really ill. And again, I would say that if you're that ill, you want to go see you want to go to Ludlow? Because I'm sure you're not spending a lot of time out. That's what you want to do with your time? Okay. Or you got something and you're trying to be polite to not spread it around. And then what do you make out of the fact that she said, I don't have anything, I'm not contagious, but now you're going to start coughing? See, that's the other thing. If you're going to wear a mask out, you got to keep that coughing to a limited thing. Like, imagine you get in the elevator, somebody got a mask on, like a surgical mask, and they just start coughing and and it's going in. You're like, damn, yo, stay home. I got into an Uber once. The guy started sneezing and coughing. I got out the corner. So let me out right here. He said, really? Yeah, let me out. He's sneezing and coughing inside the Uber. This happened recently. See, that's my new thing. When I'm going places, I try to never go last minute because I'm always thinking if I'm taking an Uber, I might need to jump out the Uber and get another Uber. And then, I got to account for the time. So that's number one. And then number two, I don't give a damn. I'm never riding in anything like that. And I'm feeling uncomfortable on any level and I'm paying for it. I'm just not going to do it. I'll stop it, get out, keep it moving, call another Uber. Real simple. And I do it. Still starts coughing. I'm like, and I'm talking like sick. And I'm like, you greedy motherfucker, you. You're here trying to get some Uber money. You know you sick as a dog. And you just don't care about your like imagine you get into an Uber and the Uber driver got a surgical mask on. You want to get straight out the Uber. The dude was coughing so much. Literally, we got about 5 blocks. And that's just my new thing now. I'm just not dealing with it. I'm willing to pay for it. And I'll wait for a new Uber. See, there's a method to choosing an Uber too. You don't just take the first person. You know that, don't you? You need to take the first person. You look at their description. You kind of see who they are, how long they've been driving, and then you decide. You got to do it quick. You only got a couple of minutes or they're going to charge you. But I'm sure you already know this. I have an account and not overly impressed, but doing it for the culture. Yeah, I think I remember you saying something about that. Maybe it was you who said that, Angela. It could have been. I think so. Somebody was telling me that it wasn't they had it, and I looked at opening a business account, and I haven't, so I'm not sure why. It wasn't anything negative per se. But I love the idea. I love the idea. I wish they had a branch open, or there were black-owned banks in Cincinnati. I think that people would flock to it. CG Dub writes, the lady, should have stayed her ass home. Catch Alex the next time, right? People don't do that. People don't, they'll take their babies and their dogs into the bar. Newborn baby like 6 months old. Mama got her on like one of those like marsupial like front packs. You know what I'm saying? Like a kangaroo. Just like kid, like just hanging there with his legs out, which is unlike the marsupial patch. I don't think that the legs dangle out in a marsupial patch. But anyway, dog there, hanging out with friends. I'm like, wait a minute. You're parents now. Oh, man, I can believe it. Let me see. Tracy, carry a can of Lysol with you and spray people in the face. Better safe than sorry. Well, my thing is, I don't know what the law is, but I mean, damn, they couldn't stop her at the door and say, are you all right? You walk in here with a damn mask on. We're not used to that. Like, you can go to like parts of China. Everybody does that because of the pollution. We're not used to that. You start doing that, you'll start scaring the hell out of people. Just walk around with I'm not going to do it, but if you just walked around with a surgical mask and just went through your day, what would happen if you showed up at work with a surgical mask on? Just imagine. You might be going home early that day. Let me see. Angela writes, speaking of clubs, have we discussed the officer who was tipping off club owners to undercover activities? I think there'll be a Fed investigation of CPD. Yeah, I saw the sister. She was all over the news all over the weekend. And apparently she got charged with a lot of different things. And apparently I guess the club owner called her and was like, hey, and gave her a description of somebody in the person's bar. And then the officer confirmed, like, oh, that's an undercover. You know what I'm saying? Now, what bar are they talking about? Is this a black-owned bar? Is this a bar downtown? I thought it was very interesting that they didn't put the name of the bar in the article. Yeah, I looked for it. I didn't see it. So we shall see. We shall see. Now, is any of this tied up to some of these articles? There was an article that was put out like 3-4 weeks ago about them targeting some downtown bars. Is that the connection that was made with this officer? I thought it was very interesting what I saw on Facebook and what I didn't see on Facebook. I thought it was quite interesting. But back to this. So Crystal posted this inside the Friends page. So Kevin Gates bought his daughter a gun. Thoughts? He shared this on his Instagram page. And it looks like it's a picture. She looks like her father. She looks like Kevin Gates. So I don't have a problem with it. Some people are going to see, black child with a gun. We wrong for that. We got too much violence in our community. We got too much violence in our community. So black folks are not supposed to touch guns. The hell? Okay, I see you, brother. Oh, that's beautiful. Black love. I love it. Oh, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Professor won't teach the rest of the semester after calling police on a black student who wouldn't move seats. Yeah. See, they used to this. They used to just, we're going to call the police. The police going to roll in and do our bidding. But the brother he just said, just move the seat, I think. And was like, man, let's just be done with it. Gayle King responds to Snoop's apology after he blasted her over the Kobe questions. Did Gayle King apologize? Because if she did, as a black journalist, we's taking a step backwards on that one. Again, Gayle King did nothing wrong. But apparently she accepted Snoop's apology. And then she acknowledged, quote, I accept the apology and understand the raw emotions caused by this tragic loss. I'm deeply sorry that my questions I asked added to that pain. There was never my intention as a journalist. It is sometimes challenging to balance doing my job and the emotions and feelings during difficult times. I don't always get it perfect, but I'm constantly striving to do it with compassion and integrity. I don't know what. I don't want Gayle King to apologize. I don't want her to apologize. Because, again, she did nothing wrong. I'm deeply sorry that the questions I asked added to that pain. So she's not saying she's sorry that the questions added pain, but she's not sorry for the questions. That's what I'm hearing. But then she says something else about, I don't always get it perfect, which, again, is an acknowledgement that of what exactly? I'm not sure what that is. Is she acknowledging that she shouldn't have asked a question, or is she acknowledging that maybe the questions could have been different? I'm not sure what she means by I don't always get it perfect, but I'm constantly striving to do it with compassion and integrity. So, I mean, if she wanted to apologize for the interview, she would apologize for the interview. She didn't apologize for the interview. She apologized like everybody does for people's reaction to her questions during the interview. But she accepted Snoop's apology, so they cool now. It's all family again. It's all love again. Nobody's mad anymore. That's good. That's good. It's good. Yes, Gayle reciprocated an apologetic response. Clumazer writes, Cassandra, you have got to have hands because I can see a fight behind that. Angela writes, acknowledging that she was out of order. See, I don't like the fact that Gayle apologized for any part of it. And again, she kind of apologized, but she didn't really apologize at the same time. It was one of those like in-between apologies. I wonder if she felt like, you know what, he's saying sorry, so I got to say sorry for the way people took the interview. Because you can believe that if that situation arises, she's going to ask the same questions again. See, that's the question that you should ask Gayle if someone gets a chance to. The question to Gayle should be, would you ask that question again? If she says no, okay. If she says yes, okay. But that's the question. Somebody will get to her and ask her eventually. Gayle knew she was wrong for her. She was wrong and her conscience was killing her. Okay. Mike Jones writes, Gayle was wrong. Vanessa Bryant should see her. You think so? I don't know. I think Vanessa Bryant's grieving. She ain't got time to see people over these little petty things. This is pettiness. You just lost your child. This is all pettiness. I thought that Dwight Howard was going to make a big comeback. It didn't really go that way. Didn't quite go that way. Let's go to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Guy.
Good morning.
Guy. Yeah, are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah, to hell with Gayle. To hell with Gayle. I thought you said this issue was dead last week. To hell with her. She needs to apologize. The questioning was insensitive. Whether it was a good question or not, this is not the time, hon. This is not the time. And then we got, you know, we're skeptical of you, Gayle. Every time we look up, you bringing some brother down. You know, probably this week she'll be doing an interview about Rick James. Probably gonna go speak out with Linda Blair and shit. You know, don't be on that, you know, because we talking about black journalists and integrity. You know, that was some bullshit you did with Hunter. You know, to hell with Gayle and her feelings. You know, I'm still mad. I'm more mad at Snoop for apologizing.
Yeah, you told me. So you said it was some bullshit I did with Hunter. I don't know what you mean.
Oh, you was tossing her softballs, putting them on the tee for her. You know, let me make her look really good at this interview, like she ain't did nothing wrong. You putting big green balls on the tee for her to smash.
Right.
Pardon me if it's loud. I'm walking through downtown. I did not realize until you said something that the day was a holiday.
Yeah, today's President's Day. I'm sure downtown looks a little different.
Oh, man, it's light as hell. I was wondering that, too. Like, ain't nobody in this month. What's going on?
People off. Just like you off.
Yeah.
Just like you off. So I don't know what you're talking about with Tracy Hunter. And the other thing is that you had an opportunity.
You know pretty damn well what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I don't know where you're coming from with that at all. You must have heard a different interview or you just got a different perspective. What I do remember is I opened the door for you to answer any questions you want, tough, softball or whatever, and you mitched out. And that's that. And you mitched out, and it's undeniable. And every time you bring it up, I'm going to remind you.
One, it's your interview. I was just a caller. Two, you keep bringing that up like you do the Black Lion getting put back on the curb. Like, that's your, go-to. That's your crutch, for fame. Like, oh, you had a chance to say something to Tracy Hunter.
You brought up Tracy Hunter, not me. You brought it up. I didn't bring it up. You brought it up. I'm just responding.
Every time her name comes up, that's what you bring up, though. Every time.
I'm just saying you brought it up. So clearly it wasn't something that was on my mind every time you call in. You brought it up. And as it relates to the Black Lion, I mean, I keeps it real. I keep it 100.
It's tired, B. That was your interview with Tracy Hunter, and you were throwing her softballs. Now, Gail come in interviewing Lisa Leslie about Kobe. She ain't pitching softball. She throwing high, hard heat at your chin.
Nah, not really. Not really. Those questions were softball questions. I mean, if we're really fair about it, speaking of teeing things up, if we're really fair about it, and did you watch Gail in the little video she put out when all that controversy was going on?
Hell no.
Okay, so you don't know what you're talking about. So let me edify you because you don't know what you're talking about. So let me edify you. So really, she was teeing up softball questions for Lisa Leslie. I mean, you're talking about high heat questions. She could have asked those questions about Kobe in a far worse manner. She was very diplomatic and she served it up in a way in which Lisa Leslie could have did whatever. She served it up that way purposely, as she said in that video that you didn't watch.
And when Lisa Leslie was crushing him out of the park, that's when Gail decided that, it's time to dictate her answers to her. You wouldn't see that as his friend, you funky bee.
Well,
that's essentially what she said.
That's not what she essentially said.
You ain't giving me.
You added the funky bee part. You're adding the funky bee part. That's your interpretation of it. But I mean, I think
that was her body language and that was her tone.
That was her body language and tone. Okay, I get it, man. I get it. You got a problem with Gail. Again, I stand by what I said, but anything else?
No, that's about it. The All-Star Aaron Gordon was robbed at the.
We can agree on that.
At the
he was robbed
in the dunk contest.
He
was robbed worse than AZ and paid in full. You know what I mean? Like, damn. I mean, it wasn't quite Roy Jones robbery, but I mean that one dunk, he should have just won off that alone. That one we caught it off the side of the backboard and caught it and did a 360 simultaneously
while doing the tomahawk with one hand. Right, that was an incredible dunk.
Yeah.
That was all them athletes in the league. I bet you it was only a handful that can pull that dunk off.
Right, he should have won off that alone. But you bugging. Quit sweating.
You bugging.
Quit jock riding Gail.
Quit jock riding Snoop.
Because Snoop spoke for us.
Oh, he spoke for him.
Who don't have a voice.
He spoke for him.
Who don't have a voice.
No, he spoke for him.
He spoke for the citizens, the denizens of the ghetto who don't have a voice. They just emasculated him and handed his balls to him.
No, because he had a personal relationship with them. The emotions were probably a lot stronger inside of him than every little Joe Blow that just got a jersey, the number 24 jersey. It's a big difference in terms of the relationship. When Snoop, and in his apology, he said, when I was speaking from my heart, his own emotions, he spoke for himself. That's what he was speaking for.
Like you have a personal relationship with Tracy Hunter. You didn't really interview her real tough. It's all relative.
Well, I mean,
you can spin it however you want to. Everybody's got a personal interview with a personal relationship with their subjects. More than likely, that's how you got them on the show in the first place. More than likely.
If you say so.
Season.
I see you really on this Tracy Hunter thing now, huh? Okay.
No, you just, Gail, she fucked up, and she deserved what she got. Funky dog head bit, whatever.
No, she didn't.
I could have came up with a lot worse adjective. I thought Snoop was light.
Well, you know what? We agree on two things. I agree with you. You could have come with a lot worse things to call this black woman. You certainly, that's in your wheelhouse. You're right about that.
Exactly. So therefore, I thought Snoop went light on her, and I didn't think he needed to apologize, but yet you keep, you said the issue was dead last week, but you keep rehashing it. I don't care what Gail video says.
No, I'm not rehashing anything.
We know what's in her. And Charles Barkley
I'm updating.
did the same thing. What a sucker. What a sucker-ass nigga he is. Like Tariq Nasheed said, Charles Barkley ain't going to let Oprah and Gail get all the butter biscuits. And said, Kobe ain't no hero. Blah, blah, blah. That's what I'm saying. He ain't even been dead a month. And we bringing up a case that he was never adjudicated in, criminally. That's unfair.
He settled a civil lawsuit.
Let that man live. Say what?
You mean let him live? Let that man die, you mean? Let his body rest. Let his spirit rest,
let
what
him,
you mean?
You know what I'm saying? Let him rest in peace. It's over. It's over. No, it's not. Not if we got people. He ain't no hero. These is black people.
Gail never said that.
Guns.
Now is that what Gail never said he wasn't a hero. She never said it anywhere in the interview. And then I'm not hip to what Charles Barkley said.
Oh my God.
She never said he wasn't a hero.
You wouldn't see that as his friend. She didn't say he wasn't a hero. She said he wasn't a good guy, is what she was trying to intimate.
That's not what she said. She questioned as to what his legacy should be. And she even questioned whether it was fair to question his legacy based upon these allegations. Those are all fair questions, Fame. I know you want to try to turn it into something malicious and she was against the black man, but those are all fair questions.
Allegations are not convictions.
I know, but when you settle a civil lawsuit of that nature, and I don't care who you are, and you're a big-time star, in the court of public opinion, there's always going to be some question marks as to why you did that. Period. And it don't matter whether you Kobe or Shaq or whoever. That's just the way it goes.
He gave that woman some nuisance money. Here, go on somewhere. Go get a new pair of drawers since you got 4 or 5 other guys that's semen in your drawers. Go buy some more. Mm-hmm. He gave her some nuisance money. Leave me alone. Marcellus Wiley said he did the same thing a long time ago. Gave some dude $1,000. Just leave him alone.
Well, just because Marcellus Wiley said that don't have nothing to do with that Kobe case at all.
Yeah, dude.
No, it don't.
Yeah, dude. Because when you got the bag, you can pay people to just go on. Here, take this nuisance money. I don't know why all these fire trucks are out downtown, but yeah. Just take this nuisance money and go on. That's all it was.
Well, I'm glad
I got a family at home. I don't have time for you.
Right. Anymore.
You understand?
Because apparently they had time that night in the hotel room. He had time for it then.
And? What's that got to do with anything?
I'm just saying, man.
She came into his hotel room. She came in through a back door. That's what I'm saying. It was a setup, B. It was all a setup to extort. It was an extortion attempt.
Okay, I'm glad you know.
High concept. Low-tech, high-concept extortion. That's all it was.
Low-tech.
Leave that man be. Leave that man be. Let him rest in peace. F. Gail and F. Barkley. And that's what I'm going to leave you with, B. I'm out. Oh!
Don't get arrested downtown. Howling. Black man arrested. Put in mental institution. Howling in downtown Cincinnati, we know to be Fame. We already know. Like I said, I'm not trying to dredge it up. This is new news. This is updates on what happened. And I'm glad to say they've apologized. They've made up. That's great. Because too many people in the community fall out over small stuff. And then next thing you know is the biggest thing ever. It's the biggest thing ever. And it's really something that's relatively small. Yeah, and you can disagree with somebody and not have to kill them and not want to kill them. It's possible. I know it's fantastic to think so, but you can disagree and still be cool. Or not even be cool. You can disagree. You can disagree and have an attitude with this person and you don't have to threaten their life. Saying, I mean, like I said, Snoop feel that way, feel that way. Nothing wrong with that. Did anyone catch the photograph this weekend? I did not. That's that new joint, right? You give it a 3.75 out of 4? Okay. She said it reminded me of Love Jones. Yes. I'm dope. I like that movie. I like the idea of it. It was like a little love story. That's cool. I haven't seen it. What's her name? Issa Rae? She went from YouTube to now she making big time Hollywood movies. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Nathan. How are you?
I'm doing great. Is this Karamia?
Yes.
Hey, Karamia, what's going on?
I thank the caller, for bringing up Judge Tracy Hunter. An event happening tonight, press conference at 6:30, February 7th, which is today. And it's at Missionary Baptist Church located at 3851 Montgomery Road, 45212. So I hope your listeners can attend.
You say it's at Missionary Baptist Church at what time?
6:30.
At 6:30. Okay. You say it's going to be a press conference tonight?
Yes, in regards to Judge Tracy Hunter.
Okay. So is this going to be the next steps? I guess we'll have to wait until later on to get the information out, but okay.
The issue is Dinklager will not sign off on papers to mitigate her costs, which we're very much working, and it's being orchestrated, very deeply researched. And also, Dinklager needs to go. He does. And this is the opportunity to get him out of there. Maybe if he doesn't sign or whoever, we need to put a Democrat in there. But he is holding her up in court litigation purposely.
Okay. All right. So we can get more information this evening.
He's going to exonerate her. And, I just hope people come out who's listening, to support her because we need to rally around innocent people.
I agree.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, most deaf. I agree with what she said. We need to rally around innocent people. I'm down with that. 513-873-7134. All right, so let me jump around a bit and talk about some things that may or may not be on your radar screen. For most of the morning, I was just kind of pointing out and highlighting some of the recent media around these presidential candidates for Democrat, and they want to be the Democrat nominee. They're all claiming that they can build a coalition that's going to beat Trump, that would beat Trump. But what is their history with the black community? What is the history of these individuals with our community when they were at the state level? And so on one level, we heard from Amy Klobuchar while in Minneapolis. Sounds like, at least with this particular woman at the NAACP branch up there, that there's a lot of question marks as to her views when it comes to criminal justice. In particular, there's a young man who's been locked down for 18 years. And there's a lot of information out there and people in the community that believe that he's innocent. Amy Klobuchar was the lead prosecutor in that particular case. And we got some of the details about how this young man, just fantastic details. So it reminded me of the now exonerated Central Park 5, where they had these young men in an interrogation room and they just, interrogate them. And in some cases wouldn't allow them to speak with their parents. And this young man, the mother's right outside the door. The police won't let him talk. This is after an 11-year-old girl was shot, accidentally while, she was in her home. And it made national news. Amy Klobuchar was the prosecutor. She made her bones off of this. Now, is that the case that thrust her into statewide prominence, that later becoming the senator? Probably so, because she was bragging about the case, using it as if it was literally bragging about the case while on the debate stage. And it caught the attention of some folks in the media. Pete Buttigieg, there's a black councilman. Now, is this a black councilman that's just got it in for Pete Buttigieg? You know, people that are pro Pete Buttigieg or cynical, they'll probably look at it that way. But this brother says he's doing national interviews saying that Pete Buttigieg had a horrible relationship with the black community. None. If I remember correctly, the brother said his name was Henry Ford, I believe. He said contentious at best is what he said. Contentious at best means that you have no relationship. But when you do, it's always like you're going at one another. Is that right? Is that the kind of leadership we're looking for? And then, of course, there's Mayor Bloomberg, who spent over $300 million and rising. His money has bought him attention. He's actually polling nationally. He's got like $31 billion in the bank. Just to tell you how much money that is. He could spend $1 billion. And how much would it really change his life? He could spend $1 billion on his campaign, but he's worth $31 billion. Is that going to change his lifestyle even a little bit? No. Meanwhile, it's almost incomprehensible for many people to think about that amount of money, $1 billion, to just have personally, let alone to spend on a presidential, long shot. And he's got a troubled history with African Americans. Number one, he's pro stop and frisk. As early as 5 years ago, he's given public speeches talking about, well, you can basically Xerox copy, the description, black male, 18 to 35, and just hand it out to the cops. And that'll pretty much take most of your crime. Back in 2008, he was on a radio station. This motherfucker goes on there and says, you know what, I think we're focusing too much on whites. We got to focus on the minorities in terms of crime, where you're going to put the resources. So he's got a troubled history, which now he's apologized for, and he knows better now, and, all this other kind of stuff. But Democrats are rallying behind him on some levels because they feel like he's got the juice to take him out, to take out Trump. I don't know, man. This anybody but Trump mentality could be just as catastrophic as Trump in White House. What do you think? Snoop spoke for the dog pound. It's hilarious. Right. I saw a picture of Gayle during her leisure time. Gayle got a fat old... What? Angela writes, I watched Love Jones and Love of Basketball this weekend, too. I think it's a top 10 for black love stories but low in the rankings. Actually, would put Best Man and Brown Sugar above it. Really? That is high praise. I thought both of those movies, Best Man and Brown Sugar. Why don't we make more movies like that? Was it late 90s or so, 2000s? We got a whole bunch of them kind of movies that just went away. Start making black love movies and start making Madea movies. Speaking of Judge Tracy Hunter, press conference is scheduled tonight at 6:30 p.m. at Missionary Baptist Church, located at 3851 Montgomery Road, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45212. She rates 3.75 out of 5. Okay, well, at least a 4. Let's see. Bloomberg 2020, he got the right stuff to get criminal justice corrected and lessen the black wealth gap. That's Bloomberg Flow. Okay, Bloomberg Flow. It was Broadway Flow. Now it's Bloomberg Flow, complete with a Bloomberg. You with Bloomberg, huh? I don't know, man. I don't know. I see Baquan the chef is still talking about Tracy Hunter. And then you had the nerve to try to equate it to something. You weren't even there that day. I was there on the court steps. There was people in the Chop Shop that was there that day that can back me up on it. No need to, though. I speak the facts, man. I don't bear false witness against my brother. I don't do that. If I say I saw it, I saw it. Trust me. Listen, I'm going to make a move. It's a little bit after 10 a.m. on President's Day. I want you to, as always, take care of yourself. And we'll catch up real soon. There's a lot of things going on in the community. And I'll be talking about all of that, catching up with you tomorrow morning with some of our interviews as we get closer and closer to this primary. We got a lot of talking to do. We got some folks to catch up with, the judicial candidates, all of the candidates for all the races. I think they're all important on some levels. So again, I'll say have an excellent day. I'll catch up with you tomorrow morning, bright and early at 8 a.m. Until next time, I'm Nathan Ivey, and I'm out.